Hello, I am Mike, God Neil Enough Dice. This is the Kerbal Space Program. This is my Eve mission. And I'm currently time warping ahead. Oh, now I'm starting out. Excellent. Time warping ahead to the Sphere of Influence change. Because at the moment, I'm down as essentially being orbiting Kerbal way back there. And until I start being considered to be orbiting the Sun, I can't be sure that any maneuver node that I place is going to be where I think it's going to be and doing what I expect it to be doing. And I'm also, because I'm going to be wanting to do it at the I'm going to want to do it at the ascending node or the descending node, whichever comes up. It's not going to be able to do that until I get beyond Kerbin's sphere of influence. So I'm just going to time warp up again. It went down. It stopped. Yeah, it reduced the time warp on its own, and then was taking ages. Not quite sure why that was happening. So yeah. So I just need to wait for that to happen. It looks to be very soon. Kerbal looking very small in the background there. You can just about see Kerbal. Way back there. And there we go, maybe. Suddenly slowing down. There we go. Disable and delete. Right, so at some point I should stop being in orbit around Kerbal, and I should start being in orbit around the Sun. I'm keeping myself here. This is actually the second time I've done this. The first time when I came back to the craft, bits of it were not attached the way they should be. These satellites here were all mangled. These ones here had actually come off the supports that they're on and were drifting in, and were basically kind of floating in space but still attached in some kind of weird way. It was all very broken. So right, I have now swapped over. Brilliant. I've got the option now to do like material study and mystery goo observations. I'm not going to do either of those. Apart from anything else, I think I've mostly got the ones around the Sun anyway. But more importantly, I'm going to get more science if I do this actually on Ike and on Eve. So right, here we are. We are now around the Sun. It's all good. There is that's the descending node. So I'm just going to pop a maneuver node down, and I'm going to click descending node. And I'm going to go up in hundreds, I think. No, I want to go down in hundreds. There we go. Maybe I want to go down in tens now. Aha! So that's a close approach. That's an encounter. So I now have an encounter set up. So I'm going to focus the view on Eve. So now I'm going to see where my encounter is relative to Eve itself. And more specifically relative to Ike. So that's far, well, okay, it's mostly very far down. So let's bring up. bring up our encounter. Yeah, that's pretty good. The one question is, I don't quite know where Gilly is going to be at this point. So I think this might be, you know, I think maybe I want to get my ship to come around Gilly and then to Eve. I'm not really sure. As you can see, there is already an orbit. This is the orbit that is suggested by the Due ScanSat of Eve contract. So it's got a suggested orbit for that. There is also a suggested orbit for Gilly, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the way, because that's an optional extra to that mission, it's not particularly worried about that. So I think I'm going to go with this, and then I'm going to refine that when I get there in 174 days. And decide what precisely I want to do. So I could play with prograde and retrograde and maybe go a bit further out, or maybe go further in. But I think I'm going to leave it there and then adjust as I get closer. You know, once I get into the actual sphere of influence. So I think that is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to move the craft. I'll say the craft looks like it's moving a lot quicker than the nav ball seems to be. Now I'm turning off RCS because I've got 369 delta V here. And I've got 389 in this back end here, which is, I mean, to be perfectly honest, that back end is actually the remains of the launch system, which actually, when you think about it, is pre-Delta V. So I should probably not be caring. And using the RCS system would mean that I'd be able to be quicker about aiming towards the maneuver node, and I wouldn't have the likelihood of overshooting. But at the same time, using RCS uses fuel. Well, RCS doesn't use fuel. But I'm using Werner engines, and so they're attached to the engine here. So dude, come on, you can do it. So the only real reason to use the RCS, to use the Werner engines, really is because I'm impatient. I don't even have the worry of accidentally using some of my monopropellant in here, because there's monoprop. Oh, where is my monoprop? I've got some. No, I don't have any monoprop. What am I saying? I don't have any monoprop anywhere on this thing. So I don't have to worry about accidentally using up fuel from something I shouldn't use fuel from. See, what I could do if I was really worried is I could always, you know, I've got a fair chunk of fuel in there. I could chuck it back in there, chuck some of it back in there. But that's pretty close. So, right, now, let us do add a Kerbal alarm. It's far enough ahead that it seems to start doing the no burn margin, but I want the half burn margin. 96 days. So we'll head back. We'll 96 days to that. What I think, well, apart from anything else, I don't have anything coming up at all until Kerbal to Elu. And if I just basically decide I'm not going to try and send anything to Elu right now, I might try and send things to Elu some other time. I don't see any particular reason why, well, I don't see any particular reason why I can't just zoom ahead right now. Look at all these asteroids following along. Yeah, so I might as well just do the whole thing now. And I've said before, I believe, that I'm beginning to think that what I want to do is somewhat more of a just following the missions all the way through to the end, as opposed to pretending I've got like a space program. Because this is 90 odd days. I could be sending things to the moon, the Mun, or I could be sending them to Minmus. You know, Kerbals are conveniently immortal, so it doesn't really matter that, you know, Jebediah will still be there in however long, even if I have a mission that ends up taking years and years and years and years. There we go. So we're slowing down. This burn's only going to take 11 seconds. Now I might, after I've done this, I might go back and just wait until, I'm not really sure. There's a thing I would quite like to do before this actually gets to Eve, which is fill out the tech tree. I think it's either 2,000 or 3,000 science to do that. That's all I need. Yeah, getting very close. Time warp 1. There you go. Boop. So basically, I would fill out the tech tree, and then I would go to the admin building, and for the first time in this particular playthrough, I would set up a strategy. The strategy being convert all science points into money, because, you know, once you fill out the tech tree, there's no point doing anything with science. But I still like the idea of going to the place and getting the science. I like that. That is good fun. And so that would convert it into money, which means I would be able to take that money and then do more missions. So that is the thing I would like to do. And I'd quite like to do it before I get to, because theoretically once I get to Eve, at that point, I'm going to have lots and lots of science to get, hopefully. Even if I'm just transmitting it back, as opposed to going there and taking all the science back with me, which is obviously would get me the most. But that's when I do a manned mission, or Kerbaled mission. I shouldn't say manned mission. A Kerbaled mission, a crewed mission. That's when I'd want to do that. So let us zoom ahead a little bit. Alright, let's see how this burn goes. I'm going to say my traditional thing with this particular craft, which is I wish I'd put a better core on it so it would follow the maneuvers for me. Another thing I would like to do before I send someone to Eve is to get a 3-star pilot. There we go. And that's a bit of an involved mission in and of itself. I wonder if that might not be the best thing. That might be a good thing to do for my next mission, is to do a round tour of Kerbin's sphere of influence. So you basically fly by the Mun, you land on Minmus, you plant a flag on Minmus, you then leave Kerbin's sphere of influence and get back, and at that point you're a third level whatever. That's when you get to be a third level pilot. Right, so let us now focus the view. So that's where I currently am, and that's where I want to be. So I'm going to get a visual view of what my current maneuverings will do. Come on, takes forever to get there. Get myself onto the maneuver node. So we just ease our way in very gradually. And say close enough. There we are. There we are. So we're definitely going to be getting our encounter. I'm going to add a sphere of influence alarm. So there you go. 54 days. I could still send something to Elu. I could. It might not be a bad idea actually. It might. I could send pretty much the same ship, although it would have more. I don't think Elu's got any satellites, so I could go find out actually. I mean, Elu. Well, that's not. Oh, that's that device which I really need to get back to picking up. Which one's Elu? There's Elu. So I can focus my view on Elu, and fairly clearly, yeah, it doesn't have any. It doesn't have any satellites, so I wouldn't want to send that whole thing. I'd want to send a single thing. So maybe I do want to send something to Elu. I've got 54 days in which to do this. I've just spent 90 odd days not doing anything. Everyone's just had a nice rest, really, for a month and a half. Back on Kerbal. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to say thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you've been enjoying these videos. Do come find Nearly Enough Dice at nearlyenoughdice.com, and we're also on Facebook and Twitter, so just search for Nearly Enough Dice there. And until next time, reach for the stars.